Welcome back, everybody. The second half, episode 2 of Olympus Rises, season 2. Glad you all could be here. During the break, I got some delicious drink. I put some Mardi Gras beads on my cat. And now we're going to go ahead and see if the party dies when they try and go through a hostile town. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Let's go ahead and turn Discord back on and make sure everybody's back. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Here's we are missing a few people still.
Sounds that way.
So, see, you guys aren't all dead yet. Totally fine.
Not yet. I mean, all that we've really done is run, so I wouldn't say we're fine. We just haven't been tested yet.
Yeah, true.
Speak for yourself. I got shot at with tanks.
It's
Well,
true.
yeah, you've been tested a little bit.
What are you all on about?
Not dead
About
yet.
how you're not dead yet.
Not yet. Slow and steady march, but not yet.
We're rapidly approaching that point, but not quite. Haven't quite achieved it yet. Fantastic. So, Will, are you back?
No, Will's broken. Oh, kitty, hi.
He got Mardi Gras beads put on him during the break. He was
Kitty girl.
Oh my god, that's so cute.
Can you imagine how cute that would be?
Kitty Grab would be adorable. Oh my god.
you pretend like it is not Kitty Gras in my house.
Will's gone.
Oh, goodbye, Will, forever.
Will left.
We need a new doctor.
Shit. Quick, call the doctor.
No, actually, I have probably 15 pounds of Mardi Gras beads because where I work, we have a Mardi Gras event.
Yes.
A lot of beads.
Yes.
All the time ever.
Yes.
Also, my girlfriend is from New Orleans, so you
Yes.
pretend
I
like
did not know that.
yes.
Yes.
We have plenty of Mardi Gras in everything that I own, including my cats. He likes to play with the Mardi Gras beads, so I like to dress him up in them so that he gets very confused and runs around the house with Mardi Gras beads all over him.
Will's back.
Hello.
Hooray!
Hello, Will.
We don't need a new doctor.
We might soon, but
Yet is the key word.
Great. So I wanted to talk to the three that are currently on planet, perhaps in the lesser of the two dangers.
I don't-
Sorry, what?
I don't appreciate that. You just cease your fuckery right now, sir.
I don't know. Matt appreciated it quite a bit. It seems.
it was funny because she was just like not gonna address it.
Indeed. So
So we're looking for some ton.
yeah, you're looking for some ton. So
Now that we've not got our heads immediately blown off by tanks or snipers.
right. So there is so you're in a city, and this is not for those of you that watch Siege, this is not Middenheim where everything is trying to pretend to be normal but is not. Everything is very not normal about where you currently are. There's nobody that you can see on the streets. Shops and factories and residential homes are boarded up or closed or dark or whatever. There appears to be no real sign of life in the immediate area that you are. You can, like I said, you can hear stuff kind of happening in the city and other locations. Because obviously it's a pretty large area that is currently being covered, right? So you can hear stuff happening like, you know, a couple blocks away. But in the area that you kind of entered into, it's kind of like the edge of that part of civilization, and everything is very kind of still in the immediate area that so your goal is to essentially, I assume, head down the side streets and try and stay out of vision and make it over to the Forton estate, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, now that you tell me that's what I want to do, we're going loud.
Also an option.
No,
Should you choose
that is exactly what we are trying to do. Yes. We
Okay.
are trying to avoid as much notice as possible.
Yeah, because obviously, Oscar, if you are spotted, there will not really be any room for negotiations.
Kind of hard. Yeah, like Fortune and Fisher might be able to talk their way out of it, but
Like, I'm a tourist, I just got trapped here.
yeah, it's covered up and all. It's pretty obvious that he's an alien in power armor.
Yeah,
You could always
like-
pull your Armatron card or armature.
Armature.
that might
The Oscartron.
that might fool the barely tech level 3 taxi driver, but I think that highly trained and motivated Barba Society personnel will not necessarily be confused
Yeah,
by that.
It all depends on his charisma score.
which is an 8.
Yeah, it's a 0.
I don't have a penalty,
Yeah.
but it's
You
right
can
Still
there.
get a 12,
You can pass
which
that.
is, an epic roll.
Yeah. But yeah, Oscar's banking on moving quickly enough that they can just avoid notice completely.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good
Because
plan.
any attention is bad attention, even though they're potentially out of the direct line of, sniper crossfire.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't all of you make me a stealth check? We're gonna take the average, but make sure you add a +1 to it because of Oscar's good tactics roll previously.
So the way that I understood stealth is that I can try and you can pick like a point person and have them use their stealth skill to try and successfully navigate others through. So would it be like mine modifying, or like Fortune too? I'm sure his is. Is that how you want to treat it, or do you don't want us all to just roll and see like if there's what the lowest common denominator is?
I don't want. I won't be taking the lowest. I want everybody to roll because there's needs to be multiple.
Okay.
This is representative of multiple chances of failure.
Right.
So I want everybody to roll. But I'm gonna take like the average and make sure you add a +1 as well if you haven't already.
I did not, so that's a 10.
Perfect.
That is an 11.
That's good.
Uh,
10.
Will.
That's
sneaky-
a 10. I
sneaky
have the +1
breaky.
in there.
Oh, so we got 2 10s and
+1, so it's a base roll.
oh my god!
It's okay.
That's still an 8.
It's
With-
yeah,
I'm
right.
currently 90% backpack.
Yeah.
Just to let you know.
It's true. He does have a lot of shit on him. So
Do you
yeah,
have a dex penalty?
even though
Yep.
yeah, he does.
Jeez, because you didn't even roll that bad. You had a 3 and a 2, and I was like, wow. Anyhow,
Yeah, so
Sorry.
it's a grand total of an 8, right? To take the average of the 3 scores. So you guys are able to navigate Dr. Fisher through. Between the two of you, you're able to navigate Dr. Fisher through mostly silently. There's probably
his
like
backpack.
yeah, there's probably like a
Fisher's
point where
fine,
like he
but it's all
drops
the weight.
something loudly, right? And like it goes rolling out into the street, and there's like a patrol of infantry guys, and they kind of like look at the like I don't know whatever you dropped, Dr. Fisher, and then like Fortune, you see a cat, and you like scare the cat out, so like the cat goes like running across the street, and they're like, oh, it's just a cat. And then probably at another point, Dr. Fisher, maybe you like trip and fall and you do the Peter Griffin like really loudly.
For like 35 minutes.
Yeah. And
until commercial break.
Yeah, exactly. And then Oscar, you have to like, you know, maybe telekinesis something to distract some other people coming through.
Sure.
But yeah, you successfully navigate Dr. Fisher through without being spotted outright. Able to navigate the streets. Now, it is both easy and hard because it's easy in the sense that there's not a whole lot of things that can trip you up. There's not a whole lot of people on the street, right? It's the patrols are pretty obvious to see. There's no one like sneaking around trying to trace you.
But also, there's no one on the street.
Right, exactly. But also that is to the detriment of there's no one on the street, and if anything saw you it'd be suspicious.
You can't blend in to nothing.
Right, exactly. But luckily you're able to cut through some probably some factory storage yards and stay mostly out of sight or completely out of sight of the of any Barba Society personnel. And I think that it's good enough to get you up into vision of the Fortana state. And so you kind of break into a bit of a clearing. And you can see kind of up on a hill there's like a metal fence. And the fence kind of has like these it's not, like a rectangular shape. As I said, everything's kind of curved and weird and circular here. So it looks like there's like a ring, like these rings of metal that are kind of like around this hill, and you can see at the top of the hill probably the largest house or residential estate that you've ever seen. Barring, like, it probably rivals, for you, Oscar, it probably rivals, like, the head household of the 13 major clans of Shriek, of Raymond,
yeah,
right?
It's like compound sized.
Yeah,
right?
it's like, it's a mansion, right? It's,
right.
You look on,
There's 40 bedrooms.
Right, exactly.
37 of them haven't been slept in 2 years.
Right, exactly.
There's like a guy who goes around and dusts them every so often.
And like the lawn leading up to it is very manicured, in very great condition. And as you like proceed outward from the house, you can see there's like a lot of landscaping and trees.
Despite the war, active,
very specifically, yes.
Planetary conflict. The lawn is immaculate.
Very specifically, yes.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
So, there's lots of shrubbery, and it's all cut very level, and there's not a single leaf out of place, and you can see like the walkway that kind of comes down. You can see like the driveway that comes down on like another side of the building, and there's like 2 garages, and they're like 5 cars each. It's probably a 2-story garage, right? Like where you can like drive up, a lift like brings your vehicle up, and then you can store it. There's the house is probably like 4 stories itself. You can see a couple of different like spires that come up out of it that are probably for ventilation or heating or whatever. As you proceed down the lawn, you can see like there's a little garden area, and there appears to be like a alien tennis court. But it's like a glass box. It's like a tennis court, or it's like racquetball but tennis, right? Where there's no out of bounds. It's just you have to like be in there, and if it bounces like 3 or 4 times or whatever, then you're out. So it's like this enclosed glass like dome shaped thing over there. It's a very, very difficult game. There are you can see that there are like small animals that are probably like running around like inside of the landscaped area. Probably see some squirrels like climbing some trees, and you get down to the gated area, and you can see that the gates are closed. There's probably one facing you somewhat close, like a gate that leads into the property, and it's closed and secured. And the fence is high. It's probably like I don't know, it's probably like 8 to 12 meters, depending on the area and where you're at. Definitely not high enough that, like, you couldn't, like, teleport over them if you really wanted to, Oscar. Or through them, since you can see the other side.
Yeah.
So that that's a thing that you can attempt to do if you want to. And then outside of it, looks like the movies of World War I when you see the Dead Man Zone, and it's just been shelled all to shit.
So what you're saying is it's very apparent there's something protecting that area.
Yeah, and I think that even stranger, you can see that there is a small, there's like a small group of tents outside the gate that you're facing. And you can see there's Barbara Society personnel, and they've kind of taken, like, they're probably like 30 meters or so away from the actual gate. And you could tell they've kind of like cleared off, and you can see barricades along the streets, like at this 30-meter interval, like all around the compound. And you could see like men and women in Barba uniforms, with their laser rifles, like kind of just like walking around and patrolling the barricades around the compound itself.
All right, would it be safe to say that we are the same distance away we are on the map at the moment?
Yeah, you could be closer, farther. Doesn't really matter. The buildings are kind of like a little bit more tightly packed up to there, but you could like get up on a building and be able to see from where you are. Yeah.
Well, because I was just like, would I be able to throw something at it?
Yeah,
you could.
I was considering the same thing, like testing somehow without drawing attention.
Yeah, just to get the exact distance, so I don't run face first into something and die.
Like a force field, and then get pig-piled by Barba Society soldiers. Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah, you could definitely find a way to like get up close and throw something at the gates. For sure.
Yeah, I would like to do that.
Sure.
Do you need an athletics check?
No. So, what do you describe to me your action so I know how to correctly tell you what happens?
I just want to maybe get like a couple of like small rocks, nothing big, nothing that's going to make like a large sound, but just kind of toss them at the area
boulders.
And find out where they start bouncing off, or if they just start disappearing after a certain point, or evaporate, or whatever keeps it from going onto the lawn.
Yeah, absolutely. So you wait for like, there's probably like a guard, like 60 meters or whatever, like off in the distance, and you can see she probably like lights up a cigarette and just like inhales and like is looking the other direction. And you stand up and you like huck the rock, and you see it flies over. It probably goes through like one of the holes in the fences and just kind of like bounces on the ground on the inside of the fence. Just like, it hits and bounces once and then rolls and stops. And just sits there for a little bit. Nothing appears to happen when you do that.
So it's on the lawn.
Yeah, it's on the lawn now.
Are you with me, Oscar? Or
I assume the three of you are together.
okay.
Oh,
Probably
yeah.
I give that really, really slow head turn over to Oscar, like, fuck.
Roll an evasion saving throw for me.
Hooray!
Everybody or fortune?
Just fortune.
Oh,
Perfect.
no.
Holy shit.
It's a really slow head turn. Like he does not see.
I am not looking anymore.
Take 3 damage as the rock nails you in the side of the head, and like a streak of blood like starts dribbling down your face.
At that point, I slowly turn back to the gate. And I'm like, oh, okay, well that answers that question.
Well, now that you're looking back over there, you actually see there's something there. And in fact, like Dr. Fisher and Oscar, you probably saw this kind of go down, but you weren't sure what was happening, as like Fortune was just like looking.
Yeah.
But you see there is, well, for lack of a better term, it looks like a small orb-like figure with these kind of Doc Ock tentacles coming off of it. There's 4 tentacles that are it's kind of like using as legs.
Is it like the Fallout Butler?
It's not floating. It's like walking on the legs. But
oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
A walker.
Yeah, it's a walker. Mm-hmm. And you saw it like it seems to have almost appeared out of nowhere. You think maybe it like came up from the ground somehow, like it was like had flattened itself in the ground. And you watched it. You went over and it like put its leg over the rock, aimed it in the direction of Fortune, and just like fired the rock out of its leg. And then, as you look over there, it kind of goes back and kind of like almost melts into the ground again.
Oscar says, Fortune, I think you may have upset the groundskeeper.
Sorry, my phone just freaked out at me because I got an Amber Alert.
Oh god, that means I'm gonna get one soon. Hold on, I gotta find my phone.
Well, I don't know. It's Manatee County. You might not get one.
Oh, I may not get it then.
Somebody abducted a manatee.
Oh no,
there's
I just got it.
Manatee
No,
County?
shut up, phone.
Like there's a whole county named after manatees?
There sure is.
Wait, what? What happened?
Still don't want to live in Florida.
What are we talking about?
She was admiring the fact that we have a whole county named after a manatee.
Yeah, totally. I did get
anyways,
it, but my phone didn't freak out, so we're good.
So there's the thingy that shot a rock at me.
Yeah. You see like the four-legged
You upset
thing.
the groundskeeper.
It almost makes an act of like digging into the ground, but like it kind of just sinks into it and just like kind of dissipates from the area. And you can see now there's like that Barbo society woman who is like off in the distance. You can see she's got like her cigarette and she's got like her rifle up like in that direction.
Okay.
And then she like slowly lowers it as like she sees it go away and she goes back to like smoking her cigarette.
I would probably what do we do? How do we get past that?
Well, might want to bandage that so they don't follow the trail of blood behind us. But beyond that, could take my chances getting in to send word we're friendlies, but
How far can you teleport?
more worried about how many of those there are in there. There's a lot of soldiers here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to clarify as well, that little like tented area, there's probably like it's probably a contingent of like 7, like a squad, right?
Probably you said that they had basically the whole. Maybe I misheard you.
So everything is
an
barricaded.
Point of clarification.
Yeah, so it's barricaded, and there are like patrols that are kind of like they're never out of sight of the tents, but they're kind of like spread out a little bit just to kind of like keep a control of the area. But there's probably like 7 to 10 people. It's like a squad level of people.
So like, out of character. Well, actually no. Oscar says, well, short of tying a note to another rock and throwing it through a window, I don't know what other option we have to let them know that we're the ones here to get them.
What if we put a West Wind badge on a rock and threw it through a window?
They may not even know that it's a West Wind contractor here to get them.
But they would. I would think they would know West Wind is on their side, though, since they were leaving this planet to go to West Wind. Maybe not these people in particular, but the planet was.
This was an open contract, though, right? They may have no idea who is actually coming. Anyway, making a break for it is not an appealing option, but
No.
I don't know what else there is. As I said, I'm willing to chance it to get in the house and get word to someone, but that is no toy. I cannot even imagine what they might have inside. Yeah, I would actually, as we're having this conversation, I would like to also try and make a perception check. You did okay.
Well,
Holy crap.
Holy fuck, Will. You rolled
That's
snake
what
eyes, dude.
we gotta get it out of the system. Does Phil notice anything?
So, Dr. Fisher, as they're having this conversation, you're just kind of like watching the estate. You see one of the doors, it looks like the back door, and it looks like it's coming out of like a greenhouse area almost. You see one of these like four-legged beasts, except it's walking on three legs, and in its little like claw, it appears to have like a it looks like a leash in its claw, and it like kind of like scuttles out, and you see like this small creature. It's probably about the size of a basketball, and it's got like kind of like short little stubby legs. And it's got like, you can tell it's got like really like fluffy fur, and it's got kind of like a rat's tail that comes out of the back of it. Looks like maybe a
thing called Neko.
Maybe, possibly. It's got kind of like it kind of looks like a possum, except the body is like round, a little bit.
Oh, God.
And as it kind of comes out, you see like the thing is just like holding its leash, and it just like walks around, and you can tell it's like sniffing different things. And
it's walking itself, like it has its own leash in its mouth.
No. There's one of those metal things. It's like holding the leash of the thing and walking on its other three legs.
Here, Jordan.
Well, I want to see what Dr. Fisher does first. He spots it first.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yep.
Guys.
Yeah. What the?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and you see the creature like kind
Have
of
you ever
just
seen anything like that?
scuttles around and like sniffs, and you can tell it like does its business, and then you hear the sound of a laser rifle going off. And almost is quicker than you can even react. That the metallic, like three-legged, four-legged, half spider orb thing, it actually like steps in the way of the laser bolt, and it just like strikes it, and you can see it kind of like shimmer a little bit. And you can see it like it's melting almost like liquid. It almost kind of looks like liquid metal as it's kind of like dripping onto the ground a little bit. And it raises a second leg and aims in the direction and fires a laser bolt. And you hear like a shout and a scream from off in the distance. And then the little tiny animal, the little fluffy animal, just kind of like looks up, like looks around, and its ears are like twitching a little bit. And the creature just kind of like tugs on its leash a little bit and walks it back inside. And the door closes behind it.
Well, if we wanted to go, now might be a good time.
Yeah.
At least Barba won't be watching for us.
So Oscar pulls out his compet.
Okay.
And he says, I'm going to try something. Just, if it doesn't work, I'm only out a compet. He
you have two of them, to be fair.
He uses his Westwind registered one. and on it, to no one in particular, he types, Westwind, here to extract you. Give signal when security disabled. And I'm, as a telekinetic, I can float things
Yeah, totally.
as far as I can see them.
Yep.
At whatever rate, like 40 meters per round, I think. It's actually pretty good. So he types it out and he sends it on a pretty good arc, floating well above where anyone's general line of sight would be, to the front door. Is that a thing that I can do?
Sure.
Yeah. And he I mean, I'm just going to keep talking until you tell me otherwise, Jordan, but he floats it over the front and like wraps the phone on the door.
Yeah, as you like wrap the phone on the door, there's a one of those, like, it looks similar but much slimmer in design. It looks like a little like tentacle camera like comes down and like does that little, like, it comes down and then it arcs up and looks at the it like looks around for a moment and it sees the floating compad and it kind of like, you see the little aperture of its camera like zoom in and zoom out and focus.
And he's like holding the screen door facing, so hopefully.
Yeah, of course. And you see like there's like it kind of like separates at one of the links behind the camera, and these little like smaller metal tendrils come out, and you can see them like touching on the compad. And then it retracts and then retracts back up into the like ceiling above the front door. Just kind of leaving it there.
Oscar reels it back.
Yeah, and as you reel it back, there's a message there.
Is it like a rude emoji, or is it something constructive?
No, it's actually a constructive message. It says,
okay, great.
It says, "Greetings, I am Sasha. Unfortunately, this estate is on lockdown. No one may enter. Apologies. I hope you have a lovely day." And all that would be interesting, except for the fact that you see that the name Sasha is spelled like that.
Mm-hmm.
I use my supreme intellect to deduce what that acronym means.
You could give it a shot. I'm certainly gonna let you give it a shot here. I think that's the most appropriate role.
Yeah, we're gonna get another Snake Eyes, and he's gonna be aha.
I think a computers with intelligence here is probably the most appropriate.
Hey, Jordan.
Huh?
Would it be appropriate? Oh,
Holy
fuck.
shit.
Oh,
God.
what was that, Megan? What was that?
So
We
What was
really
that?
missed an
You
opportunity
can't see
to
me
have
flipping
that.
you off, Will, but I am flipping you off.
We missed an opportunity to have that be a blind roll, and you just tell him whatever you pleased.
it's true. It's true.
It's like, oh, yeah, you're super confident that you know it.
Well,
You know exactly what that stands for.
Will, I'm gonna send you a message. First of all, hold on, I have it written down here so you can. So it stands for the Security Analysis System and Home Anti-Theft. Is the name of the program. You know that.
Mhm.
The reason you know that is when I'm going to send you a message here.
Phil wrote the code. He has the power to undo this. Damn, that 12 though.
Right?
Mhm.
Yep.
He knows
Uh,
everything about this for some reason.
Which is good because he doesn't have a reroll this hour.
That
After
is
two.
good. Yes, that is good.
Don't you see? All I have to do is just continually talk for the next 15 minutes so that I can then extrapolate the amount of time which is needed to progress to the next row, in which then I would have to make a row which I could possibly fail and then would result in needing that re-roll so that I would then indeed
I
have.
don't believe in you. I don't believe you can filibuster.
I mean, I'd like to sit here and listen to it if you could, but I also don't want to waste my time. So I love you.
Oh.
God damn it, you're getting British support from chat. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Gross. All right, you got that, Will? So it was secondary to you know what you were supposed to be doing here, but it was also you were also informed that you might encounter this.
Sure. Okay.
And since you're also good at computers, they figured you'd be a good person for that. So what do you tell the group? That's what I want to know, most importantly. Or do you not tell them anything?
I believe that's the computer which guards the anti-theft procedures for the estate.
There you go.
Oh. Okay.
Well, is it rogue or can we work with it?
If it says it's in lockdown, then it's definitely going to be in lockdown unless we manage to do something about it.
Can
what
it
is
be
something?
locked down without someone being in the building? Like, could someone lock it down and then leave, or does someone have to be inside to lock it down? Do you know?
I'm afraid I don't. This isn't particularly my area of expertise, but certainly, if I could certainly look at the system with my data pads, then I could tell you a lot more.
What I'm hearing is I need to get you in there.
That would certainly give us a lot more options on how to navigate the system.
Well, it didn't like the mess on the lawn. Perhaps we can create a distraction.
Maybe we could just stay off the grass.
I can do that, but what about you two?
I mean, can you teleport people with you?
You're much too large, Fortune.
Well, not me.
I mean, he could probably take Stanley, but
Oh, okay.
or Neko if you found Neko. But
we're gonna grab the possum ball and run.
Hey, it's one thing they asked for. They'll probably still pay us for it.
They would
It
absolutely.
seemed like
They were
important, so I don't really know.
emphatic
Yeah.
about rescue Neko. So
freaking get this super mutant possum and get out.
Yeah, I think he says we may have to fight our way in.
All right.
It doesn't look like Barba is trying to do anything but contain this. So,
Well, you want close support or range support?
We'll leave that to your discretion, Fortune. But it may be harder for you to get in after us.
Well, I was
once
thinking
we
about
all
just
go together.
staying out until you can get out, and then I could get you out safely, or at least tell you when you can leave safely.
Yes, I understand what you're suggesting. We can't know how long we will be engaged inside, though. So it may be better for us to all go together.
Ponder.
Okay. Well, perhaps you all should come up with a plan while I talk to
Yeah.
Megan for a little bit.
Yeah, we should see what horrors are on this derelict spaceship.
So, Megan.
Something with suction pads.
Stop it. Just stop it. Freaking knock it off.
I'm not pulling the strings.
You're
See,
sugge-
Meg, if I suggest it first, it'll push Jordan farther away because he doesn't want to seem like I called it or anything,
It's
right?
true.
That's how that works.
It'll just be worse.
So quick, suggest that there's spiders on it, please.
Yeah, there's definitely a bunch of people still hiding out. They're highly infectious. Something worse than Chan and Gogo already have.
Is there something worse?
Yeah, no, it's the disease where they implant spiders into you.
Stop it. That's not real.
Nano spiders.
That actually is
Stop
real.
it.
If we're being fair, that's like an actual real thing that happens. But Megan, I should say Gogo.
Yes.
So, this
Suit
is
up and head out.
yeah. So this is the part where we decide kind of how much resource you want to spend on quote unquote fixing the ship. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do any repairs, but you might be able. You might be able to like fix the thing that is broken. You can't heal the HP of the ship, but you might be able to like make it so the polyceramic overlay is not as broken, or make it so you have full power to the engines, but you'll still have the same amount of hit points, right? You could do both of those things, but that obviously is going to take time, and it's going to require some rolls and perhaps some interesting scenarios to come up for finding all of those parts. So what's like give me the triage list that Gogo thinks is the most important.
I mean, having both engines, I believe, is her main goal. If along the way she can also find parts to maybe even patchwork certain areas of the overlay, in places that she thinks are most important over the engines.
Right.
Things like that. But so my answer would be the first thing would be just to try to get both engines back up.
Okay, cool.
So that I can maneuver efficiently
and
not feel sluggish.
Absolutely. So with that being said, you can certainly all suit up. Oha probably makes mention of like, should I go with you or should I stay on the ship? Like, what do you want me to do? This is not her area of expertise, nor is it really yours, though, to be fair.
Gogo pretends everything's her area of expertise.
Yeah, so she probably looks to you for guidance. Obviously, Chan has to go. He's the engineer. He's got to, he probably knows best what needs to be done and what you're looking for, so.
Yeah, I'm trusting that he's the only one who knows, like, what parts I'm even looking for.
Right.
But I think that I'd actually keep Oha at her post.
Yeah, sure.
On the sensors, just giving us a heads up, because it's even more important if we get hit by some debris while we're over there, we're even more fucked than we were before. So.
Yeah, and since you even have the ship power here for comms, you'll be able to stay in communication. Obviously, there's no like jamming or anything out here that you've experienced. So
perfect. Yeah, so we'll make sure comms are functioning, and then leave her here.
So we see the scene of you and Chan, like, putting the exosuits back on, and he's like pulling the hood, and he's like helping you like seal yours, and then he turns around and you seal his, and like he gives you a nod, and he goes, this is the first time I am going on one of the trips that you all take. Is there anything that I should know before we depart?
Just assume that anything that could go wrong will go wrong, and you'll be just fine.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I actually use as much thought about those things, but I will attempt to.
Great. Great, Chan. It was kind of a joke, but of course, yeah. Okay, all right. You all set? You know what we're looking for? We got to make this quick.
Yes. Also, and he kind of like pats his hip. He's like, I brought some tools so that we don't get lost. Since we don't have the schematics of the ship, it is probably important that we know our way out. And he kind of like points to the exosuits. We'll have about 6 hours, but I've brought some extra supplies. We can probably stretch that out to about 12, if necessary.
Go nods, and she's like, good thinking, Chan. Hopefully it won't take 12. And she just kind of like starts walking off.
Yeah, and he probably follows you, and he's like, well, it depends on the size of the objects that we need. I've also brought some welding tools. Also, using additional power sources might drain those supplies, so by my estimates...
Yeah, Chan, yep. I know you're prepared, bud. Yep, let's go.
Yeah, you like get into the airlock, and like Oha's face like pops up on the screen.
Yeah.
She's like, alright, I'm disengaging the airlock now. Good luck. And like, it opens up, and you see Chan like you both like do the slow crawl up the ship right to the highest point, so you can see up there. And Chan like tells you through comms, he's like, all right, we're going to have to, well, for lack of a better term, jump up there. I'm going to secure us to the hull of the ship. That seems the most stable part. And he like, pulls out like a carabiner and like, attaches it to you, and he like screws the top in and like attaches it to the thing, and then does the same for himself. And he like gives you a nod, and he says, are you ready?
Coco nods.
Yeah, and so like
she goes to just friggin' jump.
Yeah, the two of you like you do the slow motion like leap, and we see you like traveling, and we see the like the wire like bzz, like zooming out behind you, and Chan is like checking it every so often, and he like reaches out his hand and he makes contact with the like ledge that you're aiming for, and he like grabs onto you and like kind of like lifts you, right, quote unquote, like swings you into like the doorway, and you can see that like it's a blast door up top, and the emergency flickering light that you saw was like the light above it, but it's kind of like tilted on the side, well, the side from where you are, right? And it's kind of jammed open. You can see like there was a big beam that kind of got wedged in there, and there's enough room for like the two of you to like squeeze in there, and kind of get into the inner workings of the ship where it's not destroyed. And he swings you up there, and he ties like glow bug, that's what they're called in this game. He ties like a glow bug to the top of the wire, and he says, I don't have enough wire for us to go all of the way, but I will begin mapping on my compad perhaps where we are going, and I'll also leave these. And he kind of like holds up the glow bug. He's like, I found that I don't need them, but I understand that you are not the same.
Yeah, and remind me to ask you about that part later, Chan. Anyway, let's go.
Yeah, and he kind of like you guys like you crawl in through the blast door and kind of get into the inner workings of the ship, and we see you begin navigating, right, like through like space vacuum, and your boots have like magnets on them, right? They're magnetized, so you can like stick to the floor and stuff like that, but it's still like click, and it's still like very slow walking, because it's weird,
like,
right?
Suction and then unsuction,
right.
And then go over.
Yeah, and like 0G, it's not that you are like when you're walking, it's not that you like just kind of lean forward and go, right? There's no gravity, so you have to like you actually have to like pull yourself with your off leg forward, and like so it's very awkward to kind of get used to it. I'm sure you've done spacewalks before though, right? Chan probably hasn't, but he's adept at literally everything he puts his mind to.
Does Gogo have exosuit training?
Yeah.
I think she started with some like in the very
Well, yeah,
beginning.
I mean, I don't know. That's why it's never.
Yeah, I have a 0
really
in
come
them,
up.
so I don't have
Yeah.
like a bonus, but I definitely have done
But
it.
no, I
I would
mean-
imagine because of like instances like this where
Mhm.
I'm, you know, possibly transporting something and we, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the seal
So-
wasn't perfect, so I needed to go out and fix it in order to whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she's Gogo with a 0 should be totally at ease moving around though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and really the thing that throws you off the most probably is the orientation of the ship you're walking through, right? Like
It's literally like on its side, so
Yeah.
we're walking like down into it instead of flat across.
yeah,
I would
and
imagine.
I think that there's probably points of vertigo, right, for you where you're not really sure which way is up at certain points. If you've ever had that experience, goodness, it's crazy scary. I know it from scuba diving. You get it sometimes when you're ascending to the surface, where like everything flips over and it's weird. But like once you get into parts of the ship that are not as like destroyed or damaged, it becomes more normal. Like you see, you're kind of just like walking, moving slowly through the hallways. Obviously there's no gravity aboard the ship, but probably after about, I don't know, maybe an hour or so of like breezing through, Chan has told you probably at some point, like, be on the lookout for a panel or for where there's power so that we can route some power to maybe like find schematics or, you know, figure out if we can trace the power back to where it's coming from, etc., etc. And probably after about an hour of walking around, you find something useful. There appears to be a section of the ship that still has like some power. Again, it's kind of like emergency power only. But it looks like it leads into like you can read above the ship like residential quarter 6B or something like that. And the panel outside appears to still have power to it. It's on low power mode, but still has some power to it. So you're able to kind of, you know, get in there. And kind of, so you pointed out to Chan. Now, are you going to try and run a computers check on it, or are we going to do some tech astronautics? Maybe Chan does some tech astronautics. How do you want to try and figure out? Because Chan has basically said to you, like, hey, we need to figure out where the power is coming from, because if we're trying to fix the engines, it's most likely coming from the drive core. We need to know how to get to there. So we got to either, like, trace the power, or we got to find some schematics, or we got to, you know, find something that will lead us to the engineering department, basically, of the ship, right?
Yeah, so I feel like I'm trying to think, like, in terms of Gogo's knowledge. So I imagine that she has at least some basic mechanic skills based on her racing years and things like that.
Right.
So I think her ability to open up a panel and actually look at the different pipes and wirings and the size of each and the type of each will probably give her an idea as to like how close or far away from the power source they probably are based on the type of electrical wiring or whatever that's being used in this current location, and then kind of track it back from there.
So, yeah, you could also like pull out the multimeter, right, and like put it up there, and also, so the thing is, like, if there's a console that's working, the inside panel where the power is connected to probably has some sort of indicator. Like, it's probably got like the you know, the things that the electrician would come and look at if something was wrong with it, right? He wouldn't just like look at the panel. So you're going to use some tech skill here to kind of, you know, pop open the panel and look around and see if you can figure out the orientation of the ship or where you're at, because you know the general layout of this type of ship. They're all pretty much the same. The problem is knowing where you are on it is the big problem.
Especially considering from the outside, it doesn't really look a whole lot like
it's
supposed to. So
yeah.
So I would definitely say it's a tech roll then.
Okay, so why don't you make me a tech astronautics check in this instance? I think this is going to be with intelligence. Nice.
Oh my god, seriously, another 8. Like, what the hell?
So
Sorry.
cool. Yeah, no, with
Continue.
with an 8, it's definitely a success in this instance, and I think that you determine that the power source, or at least like where this is being powered from, is it's fluctuating like it does. Like the difference between AC and DC current in this instance, and obviously it's probably not called that, but power that comes from like the ship core itself is probably is in flux a bit. There's probably a range of voltages that it hits. Power that comes from something more static, like a battery pack or something like that, would be much more steady and horizontal along the line, and you can see the fluctuations in it. So the one thing you learn from here for sure is that there's still power in the drive core, which is great news, because that means that there's probably still something useful down there.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
It's not all completely destroyed. So that's great. So now as far to like figuring out, and this is mostly to know that you're not on a fool's errand here, right?
Bother continuing wandering around to find it.
Right, exactly, yeah. Don't waste the rest of your 5 hours on nothing. I think Chan is going to take a crack at trying to get schematics here. Oh, and there he is. And Bane. Compute. Hey, look at that. Man's a beast, man.
Nice. Jan hype.
So yeah, so I think that you see him like kind of typing away on the computer, or on the console that's right there that you're like inspecting the panel. And
Chan is good at everything, isn't he?
He really is. He really is good at everything.